A very good afternoon, everyone. We have had an engaging session so far at the DNPA Conclave 2026, and uh, and I think we are the only people between lunch and all of you. But I think we are into one of the most important conversations of today, where we'll be discussing new economics of content in the AI age. And if I take some cues from discussion so far, we are referring here not just any content, but credible content, content for social good, and potentially privileged content. However, we are living in times when AI is disrupting our industry many times over. At the same time, it offers opportunities to reimagine like nothing else. Distribution is changing, consumer behavior is changing, and attribution is changing. And who will capture the quality is the fundamental question being defined in real time. So, to throw more light on this question, we have an exceptional lineup of speakers with us today, traveling from all across the world. May I introduce you to all of them? So, we have Mr. Toshit Panigrahi, co-founder and CEO of Tollbit. Mr. Gautaman, popularly called as G-Man, founder and CEO of Saptarishi. Mr. Marcus Puneet, head of SpringServe and Revenue Strategy Asia Magnite. Mr. Aaron Rigby, director Southeast Asia and India, Taboola. And of course, our very own Bharat Gupta, founder 2B and former CEO New Jagran New Media. And I'm Puneet Jain, CEO of Hindustan Times Digital, who will be moderating this session for you today. Firstly, I thank you all for joining, and thank you for supporting us. Several of you are co-sponsoring, so thanks for that. I think I'll start with the most pressing question that is sort of ahead of us, which is, and I will pose this to all of you, and I'm looking for a quick response here. In this AI age, content, AI-led monetization, whether it's by advertising or licensing or through any other means, is something a realistic, significant revenue that we can expect as publishers over the next 12 months. And let me start with you, G-Man.
Sorry, me first. I think there are others who can have a better view on this, but in my view, I think 1 year is too short a time to make any predictions on this. Okay. I think should be more realistic about generating revenues out of this, for the simple reason that appropriating the licensing itself is not yet established. Okay. So where is the authority lie? Who authorizes it? Who creates it? And therefore, the discussions about central node to appoint to give the license or distributed licensing is still not yet decided. So I think the jury is still out. Expecting any revenues out of AI-based licensing for this 1 year is too early.
Okay. I'll go to you.
To me? Okay. Look, it's a very important topic. Obviously, it's a very heated topic over the last few weeks. I think it's extremely important to have a point of view. And do I think it will make revenue in the next 12 months? It really depends how good you are at negotiating. And having negotiated with some of you, I'd suggest maybe it will deliver some revenue. But I think what's important is not just thinking about how to export data and work with data partners and pushing that data for modeling. It's also how you can, in the next 12 months, bring AI into the ecosystem. It has to both happen. It can't just be sending out. It's got to be bringing in tools like Taboola and others where we can help, and others can help, unpack opportunity, unpack audiences, look for optimizations, and consistently and continuously looking to find that extra, value that you can deliver to your readers and, of course, to advertisers as well.
Okay, I'll take it as a qualified yes. I think moving to you, Marcus, what do you think?
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm going to be the first one maybe to raise my hand. And when it comes to, licensing content for AI and models it's not my area of expertise. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it is either. But I give you my personal take on it. And usually from experience when it comes to new business models and concepts, and in order to get them more widely adopted by the industry, it usually takes a slightly longer time. So in regards to that time frame that you were referring to, I might be a little bit skeptical. But again, that's more of a personal view.
Okay, sure. Bharat, what do you think? And you have seen from, I would say, both the sides.
So, thanks, Puneet. So, I think it's first important to understand how is the technology changing the ecosystem. What are the things that are getting added on, and what are the things that are getting subtracted, right? So, I think amongst the things that are getting subtracted, the original ecosystem has changed. We've moved away from a simple phenomena of content discovery, engagement, and monetization. And now the way the content is getting discovered, it is almost like clickless. It is getting remixed. It is getting engaged without any attribution. So I think that is cause of a concern. But the answer lies in, as publishers, how do we accept this change and rebuild a stack which can provide new lens or layers for new types of monetization. I think we need to really innovate.
Thanks, Bharat. Toshit, what do you think? And you are directly operating in this line of business.
Thank you, Puneet. So I'm perhaps going to give a little bit more of an optimistic take. I think we started the year, obviously this is a new market. Our goal is to try to get publishers paid. It's not aspirational. I think it's essential for that zero-click world. We started the year maybe paying thousands of dollars to a publisher, and then by the end of 2025, we're paying out hundreds of thousands in aggregate across the network. So we actually see that programmatic licensing take shape, and I think it's going to be essential for that zero-click world. That's why we're placing these bets across the world.
Fantastic. Thanks, Toshit. And in the previous panel, we were referring to annual operating plan, and all of us, several of us are in the same boat, planning for next year. Your comments, I think I can take some dollars, count some dollars for next year in my plan. So thank you, me and my fellow publishers. I think we're a little better hearing you. I think I'll now move to specific questions to each one of you, sort of referring to the line of business I think you are building, and some terrific work all of you are doing. Toshit, I'll start with you. You are building Tollbit is building infrastructure for AI content licensing. What does a typical licensing negotiation between a publisher and an LLM provider look like today? And what is the leverage as publisher we have? What is the scope, training, drag, and how is pricing being determined?
So it's a meaty question. I'm going to try to wrap it up in 3 minutes for you. The first thing that we tell publishers is it is a copyright problem, yes, but don't think of it as a copyright problem. It's a new visitor on the internet. You have many ways to monetize your human visitors: ads, subscriptions, affiliate links, paywalls. You have nothing to monetize your AI audience. It's a new audience. It's a different value exchange. It's a different tech stack altogether. And when you look at it through this lens, I think one of the next things that we walk publishers through is, I think we were the first company in New York to go to every publisher in late 2023, early 2024, and say, hey, look, we're not going to help you with a training deal, but what we will help you with something called retrieval. And it was unpopular at the time, but when you look at the scope of RAG, retrieval, grounding, whatever you want to call it, it is a huge opportunity, right? It's that recurring need for access. And when you look at it through that lens, combined with, hey, it's a different audience, it actually shakes out really nicely into a CPM-based model. So at least the way Tollbit works is publishers on Tollbit set CPM rates for usage, and as that content gets used by AI applications, we bill that, right, back to the AI developer, depending on, is it paywalled, is it new, is it, I think I was just telling someone right now, it's the pricing function, there's 4 variables. What is your brand? So are you a premium brand? Second, are you paywalled? Paywall content commands a higher premium. Third, is it unique, right? So you have more leverage. And the fourth, is it fresh? Is it new? New content will always command a premium. And then if I know those four things, I could probably give you a good estimate of what that content will trade for on Tolbit.
That's very interesting. So as a follow-up for you, Toshit, on that, like you mentioned that how, let's say, the human internet, which is what we have been monetizing via ads or otherwise, what you're referring is the AI internet or agentic internet as being called as, right? So as publishers, we should see is an additional opportunity that we have in place and look at very differently to be able to plan monetization over there.
So when you look at the scope of the opportunity here, right, in the face of declining, stalling subscribers or declining CPMs or declining, say, human traffic and referrals, say, coming from Google, one of the things that we illustrate with our suite of products and where the world is headed is that human attention has a limit. The people will only read so many stories in a day. We will do a Google search and click 1 or 2 links. Bots don't do that. The net amount of content access in the world is about to explode because bots don't get tired. They will read 10 articles, 20 articles to answer that question. The future of the internet is going to be mostly bots. There is no way other than to have a value exchange with them.
Interesting. So just sharing from my own experience, I review our cloud bill every month. And I was speaking to my CTO, hey, this bill shouldn't be rising anymore. Traffic is not rising. But the bill seems to be rising every month, every quarter. He says, now we have more bots who are consuming, in addition to the users who are already there. So that's what I think you are alluding to. So hence an additional opportunity of users who are agents who can look to monetize. Thanks. Moving to you, Marcus, right? Magnite operates one of the world's largest independent SSPs. From your vantage point, what are the biggest sources of value leakage for premium news publishers in the programmatic supply chain? And hence, what are the most impactful yield management levers that Indian news publishers are not yet fully utilizing?
Yeah, it's a great question in 2 parts. I think it's quite easy to get tempted to jump into more of the kind of technical aspects of programmatic and talk about the hygiene of your formats and the signals that you're passing, and how are you managing holistically your ad decisioning, etc. But I think the single biggest value leak is the commoditization of the environment, right? It's been touched on multiple times. I think Mr. Meshwari in his initial keynote as well talked about attention as the new oil. I'm not a commodity trader, but I know so much about commodities. When you sell a commodity, you tend to compete on price, right? And I'm not saying that it's not important to, optimize your indirect programmatic stack to get more out of the current programmatic markets, but I don't necessarily feel it's going to be a long-term viable strategy, because I'm one of those people who believe that all advertising will become digital. I believe that all digital advertising will become programmatic. So how do you kind of combat this if you now are a premium publisher? And I think a lot of us in this room feels that premium news publisher is not fairly compensated, and hasn't been for a long time, maybe in comparison to a lot of other accessible media out there. I think we need to carve out our own markets and move to more of an active curation that we are actively pushing to the buy side. And I think it was quite clear in the previous channel as well. And I think this is true everywhere in the world. When I started in this business about 15 years ago, I was more on the agency side of things, and I had a sales director who told me, Marcus, do you know what agency planners and buyers really dislike? I think he used the word hate, but hate is very strong. It's when you, as a salesperson, you go into their office and you sit there and you said, oh, what do you got for me? Give me a brief. What are you working on? And I think the gentlemen here on stage were pretty clear. We're open to listen, we're keen, and come us and tell us what you can do for us. So I think that we in this room, and it's already happening to some extent, but it can be done a lot more. We need to take these first party premium environment, trusted environments, put them together in attractive packages. We need to bring them to the agency and, you know, prove out the models. And again, it's so easy to rely back on programmatic as machine to machine and let's work with the signals. But no, I mean, there's a reason why SPO is out there, and SPO can be done for various reasons. And I think publishers need to take their own control of it. And also, we at Magnet, we're already doing this together with the DNPA with kind of early stages on launching some, especially around contextual first-party data and building audiences around it to provide more alternatives. So again, early stage, but looking forward to working with all of you to kind of bring that to market more in 2026.
Wonderful. Thanks, Marcus. So yes, as DNPA, we are facilitating a pilot with all publishers to monetize better. Moving to you, Bharat. I think you had a very successful stint driving transformation at Jagran New Media. Now you have launched 2P. What gap are you aiming to solve, and how does this endeavor redefine value within the digital media landscape?
Thanks. I think it has been a very, very interesting journey while working with Jain and driving the team passionately. So we were able to grow it to 100 million using content science, using distribution technology, using content economics, right? But the new journey is designed around something very different. And I think throughout the day we have been hearing about how content is now getting produced at mass, commoditized, right? And when you look at the value system, the chain, you have publishers who are producing the content, you have creators who are producing the content, and now you have synthetic content as well. So the volume of content which is getting produced is so tremendous that it's becoming increasingly difficult for end users to trust what they touch, right? And I think that's the biggest challenge, that we are slowly moving into a trust deficit economy, right? And who is in the end accountable for this content? And how do we solve for that, right? How do we move the value system forward? As publishers, we think that just by mere usage of brand, is that content trustworthy? Have we introduced very strong frameworks to ensure that the content can be verified? As networks, are we willing to move away from or move beyond from eCPM to introducing a trust as a matrix, right, or as a signal? And I think these will be the foundation to build a new layer. And what we are solving at 2B is that how do you ensure verification, like how do you verify your claims, whatever you're claiming in your content, until and unless it can be verified, it cannot be trusted. Unless until it is compliant to the regulatory standard, it cannot be trusted. So what is the kind of research which you're putting in? What are the kind of sources you're referring to? And then, and once you start putting these right signals, I think there's a reason to believe that you'll surface more, you can be monetized better. Because I truly feel that in this dynamic world, trust will be the new currency. And we will all have to become or change gear as custodians of trust rather than producer of content.
Very, very fascinating. If trust were to be the new currency and actually available for trading, I'm sure it would have been getting pricier by the day, given how scarce it is. Very interesting. I'll move to you, G-Man. If you could design an ideal programmatic advertising framework fit for the AI-first digital news market in India, what it would look like?
Okay, so I'll put it in two parts, Puneet. Context and collaboration. Let me just talk about both. Essentially, AI is all about context. I think if you're able to get the context right, you should be able to market your inventory or audiences a lot better. And the earlier panel also talked about lack of additional signals which you're able to add to your inputs to build a good context. And in the future of a programmatic AI-led stack, if the context is not marketed well, we'll never be able to move an inch further. So how do we get your context better? You probably have to look at additional signals that can make your inputs a lot better, like what Marcus talked about, better curation of audiences. That will help in moving into a right direction. So context is the easy one to solve. To your question, the second one is very important. Okay, so which is in the area of collaboration, right? Look at telcos. I mean, I'm going back in time. When the telcos were offering the signals, they came together to build a tower infrastructure. They didn't build the towers. The same towers were having signals to offer to all the telco companies, right? That's because it is unaffordable. Programmatic is expensive for all it is worth. It is expensive for advertisers, it is expensive for publishers because you're going to give away at least a part of your CPM to the technological infrastructure. So if you look at news publishers, as a group, you will probably not be more than 2,500 crores or 3,000 crores if you can give or take. And from an advertiser's point of view, you knock off the big tech companies, search, social, and others, and go to the open web. You are in the last bucket. Okay? I would like to believe that sum is more than its parts. If you can mirror what the telco companies did by coming together, you already have a panel like discussions like this. You already have a conclave like this, right? In more than any other genre, you guys are a lot more collaborative, or you have a forum like this. If you can invest in a common infrastructure, technological infrastructure that helps you to launch, because individually you will find yourself very expensive to put this infrastructure. That helps you to sort of move the adoption of technology in your programmatic framework far faster. Because programmatic, believe me, it is not cheap, it is expensive. The earlier panel talked about it. You have to have 4 more stacked to it, one DV360, one DSP, and one SSP, and one verification. Who will pay for all those things, right? So individually, it's unaffordable. I would rather believe if you can come together in your, if you ask me for a question or future, I would say sum is more than its parts. You probably will be able to do a much better job. Thanks.
Thanks for that, very useful. And we are sort of doing a pilot as DNPA with Saptarishi right now. Yeah, I think lastly to you, Aaron, how is native advertising model and the performance partnerships evolving in the AI age? And is the CPC model giving way to something more sophisticated? And hence, what are the implications for us as publishers for revenue?
That's a big question. 3 parts. Okay, so how has native advertising evolved? So through the lens of Taboola, we've been on quite a journey over the last 2 years. We've pretty much rebuilt the engine in how we go to market with advertisers. Last year, we launched our Realize platform, which is performance at scale outside of search and social. And that's essentially a reimagination of our 17-year-old algorithm. So instead of, our spend going to native placements and looking for clicks, it's now looking for outcomes based on the objective of the client, similar to what the agency panel just talked about, right? So the algorithm is now smart enough to go and meet the objectives of the advertiser. It could be a click, it could be a test drive for an automotive company, it could be first dollars on platform for a finance company. So to the second part of the question, moving away from that click to outcomes, which is moving away from volume to value when we look at it through the publisher lens, right? So as we look at the performance of Realize across the world over the last 12 months, we've seen incredible results. We're seeing that the opportunity is there when publishers have a very deep understanding of their audience. They have very clean first-party data, and they have built accountability and trust with them, so they do have a propensity to convert and a propensity to buy. And we're now in a situation where we are seeing outcome-based campaigns performing significantly better on publishers have a much smaller audience than some of the bigger audiences, but they have a very deep understanding of how their audiences engage, interact, and they build that journey with them. So from a, as we move away, I heard the last session, 70% of spend roughly is in performance. As that continues, publishers really need to think about who is your value audience and how do you increase that, build that relationship, build that trust so the advertising dollars can come and find them to convert.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron. I think I'm being told time's up. So one last question to all of you, and I'm looking for a one word, at best one line answer, which is simply, I think, what would be one single advice to all of us that we should implement over the last 12 months? And let me go in this order, Bharat, starting with you.
I think we need to really introduce a credibility framework within our teams.
And I like the word use we. Thank you, Bharat.
Understand your value audience and build on it.
Okay.
I think you need to kind of audit and own your own demand path, because if you don't define your market for you, I think the algorithms will. And legacy-wise, it hasn't worked out well for the people in this room, so we need to change that game a little bit, and we can. So that was more than one word, I'm sorry.
Each one of you build your own first-party data, for sure.
First party data. Clear. Thanks. Yes, Kaushik.
Can I be a shameless plug? Can I just say sign up to Tollbit? We don't charge publishers. It'll only help you.
That specific one. Thank you. I think with that we come to an end. I think the common thread I hear across the panel is publishers who truly understand. So you want to?
No, I have something I want to say when you're done.
Sorry.
I have something I would like to try to say when you're done.
Okay. So I think what I was saying was publishers who truly understand their data, who control the supply path, and who build direct relationships with both audience and AI platforms will be the ones who will thrive and monetize bigger and faster. So on that, I would like to thank all of you. Sorry, please, why don't you add?
I just want to, खाना खाने चलते हैं? Is that how we say it?
Very well put. With that thought, let me thank all of you, and thank you all for being a delightful audience.